This is Progressive Insider.
Yeah, Progressive Insider, you know they wiser. This that new media company covering everything. I'm talking that news you ain't heard of, cause you know it's getting buried. Social justice, yeah, the stuff you need to know about. Fucking politics that the corporate news won't cover. You know they don't think that you could see under, but you can now, cause the people we cover, they may not be famous, but their stories should be heard. Yeah, every voice matters.
Everybody, welcome to Progressive Insider. This morning we have our guest with us early on, Christopher Lucas out of Chicago.
Hello.
Live and in charge. And then, of course, we have Mr. Andy Kennedy joining us from Canada.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm representing. Can you see?
Yeah, you are. You absolutely are. All right. So you said you had a rant this morning. Go ahead. I'm ready. What is it?
Okay. So our situation here personally has really kind of taken a 180 in the road. My wife, of course, is a scrub nurse in the OR in the local hospital. And of course, she's, being a healthcare professional, probably been up on things a little more than the general public. Next week is Canadian March break. I'm not sure how that aligns with the American one, but typically the OR at her hospital goes into a slowdown mode, and most of the employees have the week off. Right? And as of yesterday, and my wife worked the weekend, and she works 1 and 6, but as of yesterday, she was going to have the week off. We were going to prepare our home for whatever contingency we needed to do. And then she received a phone call in the afternoon that I took for her that said that she was being deployed to a different part of the hospital starting this morning in response to the coronavirus. We went from 0 cases in our region to 6 confirmed.
Wow.
So now she is going into work at the hospital dealing with coronavirus patients. They told her that she is going to be at the main entrance of the hospital doing triage. So she is going to be dealing with all of the coronavirus patients as they walk into the hospital.
With no protection, no nothing. She's
No, they apparently she's going to be in full hazmat medical PPE, and so they're going to be but they say 26% of the coronavirus cases worldwide are medical professionals.
Yeah.
And then when she's done her shift, however that long that is, she's coming here. Right.
Wow. Okay. So I instituted this crazy protocol at my house because I have lower compromised immunity. So my husband, who has to work, not in the health field, but just in general, when he comes home, he's got to strip down and put on, play clothes or whatever. And then he's got to take those clothes that he had and put them away. Chris is laughing. So he has to put those away, and then 12 hours later, I will wash them based on how long this virus survives. So I don't know that I introduced Christopher Lucas, who's our guest today out of Chicago, but hi, Chris. How are you? Good morning.
Hi, Chris.
Good morning.
So, Andy, what's going on then at your house? I mean, you've got this now your wife is on the front line.
Yes. What we've done is we've kind of designated areas in our house as potential spots that if Debbie does start to exhibit symptoms, where she'll basically be quarantined to, right? and that would be the master bedroom, and the ensuite would be the area that she would be. And then whatever she would need, I could leave and at the door for her that she would come to retrieve. And then there's a secondary door that I could close to keep that part of the house from the rest of the house, right?
With an airlock.
Yeah.
But the problem is that people are contagious, up to 14 days before they start to exhibit symptoms.
So
right?
you got to act like she's already got it.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
So I'm stuck because I don't, we're supposed to self-isolate, but this is the only place I can self-isolate.
Right.
So what, I guess it's a.
Okay. So Chris, we had a live show. What was it? Saturday, Friday
Yes.
night? I don't remember, where we had two doctors on. One is a virologist, a researcher, and the other is a medical doctor. And one of the things that came out of that, because one of our guests that was participating is also another doctor, and we were looking at what we're doing here in the US as opposed to what's going on in Germany and South Korea, where they went from a 7 to 12% mortality rate down to 0.02. And part of what they were doing was 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C for those who don't have interactions with other medications they're taking, turmeric and elderberry and some of those other things that are starting to come out of oral therapies that Germany and South Korea are using, that information that we're not getting here. And the bigger overarching point that we have here with our CDC is their recommendations right now are, if you start exhibiting symptoms or you're at risk, just go home and die quietly. We don't want you to overload the system like Italy has right now. Whereas what we should be doing is modeling what's working in these other countries, which is the oral treatments, whether it's a medical grade. I forget the names that they used. I'll have to go back and look at our piece, but it was basically medical grade collaboration between turmeric and a couple other oral medications that actually boost immunity, reduce inflammation, and help overall shorten the lifespan of what is essentially a really aggressive flu.
Right.
So yeah, wow, Andy, I'm so sorry that's happened. I'm sorry that is happening, but I appreciate your wife's effort there. So
Well, and it's I don't know if you caught 60 Minutes last night, but their opening story was on in, I think it's Westchester County in New York State. I guess it's considered a hot zone, and they were following some of the healthcare professionals, and there were 3 women that were nurses that were going door to door to people that had contact with known coronavirus patients. And they would drive up in their car and knock on the door, introduce themselves, say, we are coming in to test your saliva and your blood to see if you're infected. They would go back out to their car, change into their protective equipment, then go into the house and take swabs and test people, then come back out to their car, categorize and catalog the test result, the testing stuff that they just got, change out of their protective equipment, bag it, and move on to the next place.
So really, like plague.
Oh, absolutely. You have to treat it that way. This is the way it's going to happen. And there are some interesting things that I've seen over the last 12 hours. There was somebody, and I didn't get a chance to verify it, but somebody posted a statement or a tweet from the Norwegian body that is in charge of the coronavirus response, whatever part of the medical healthcare portion of the Norwegian government stated that if you are abroad currently and a Norwegian person abroad, then you need to come home right away, so that we can protect you, especially if you're in danger zones like the United States that have no infrastructure. So the U.S. just got bitch slapped by Norway.
Well, they're not wrong. I mean, I saw that and it was shady as hell, but it's true. We can't. So Chris.
Suddenly we're the third world country.
Right.
Yes.
Suddenly
Yes.
we're the problem because our president is such a class A moron.
Yes.
That he didn't take it seriously. He didn't take it seriously. And you know what? I don't believe that this guy is walking around corona free. Not all the glad handing he's been doing with those tiny little fingers of his. He's been shaking everybody's hand, touching every podium after 20 different people have been at the podium. And then he's there. I mean, he's gripping it for dear life. You know, have you ever seen the kid in school who is not prepared and he has to go stand up at the podium, how they grip onto that lectern like it's
like finger marks.
Yeah, he's gouging.
Oh, of course. He's been deny, right?
Yeah,
I mean, we have to protect the markets.
Because
that's the only thing, right? That the Trump administration has pointed to say, look, the economy is amazing. Look at the market.
Look at the market, yeah.
Right?
Meanwhile,
anything.
We've dropped what, 2 trillion? I think we're up to 2 trillion to stabilize the market. And then this morning it came out, Brian Klassen was sharing this from London and German newspapers. The German health ministry confirmed that on March 2nd, Trump was trying to strong arm German health officials into giving exclusive right for a vaccine to the US and only the US. That's March 2nd. So on February 28th, just 2 days before, he was on national TV talking about it was a hoax perpetrated by Democrats. And then, a day later, we had our first death, a gentleman in Washington State. And then he was like, no, it's okay. So maybe there's something to it, but it's still the Democrats and a hoax. And then on March 2nd, it comes out he was having phone calls.
From Corona, he choked on a small piece of tuna. Yeah. He would do that. Guy.
I never eat tuna.
Hey, Wait, you know what I did want to share with you guys online. And you know that like what I do for a living. So I spend a lot of time in the classroom with a lot of kids, you know, and a lot of stories that I get from kids are like, oh, you know, well, we were lucky. We just got back from China. You know, that's one of the downfalls of working inside of the private school system with a lot of kids who have money is that they travel a lot. They go a lot of different places. So, I mean, I told you about the incident of me sitting in the car with the girl who was like, she was like, yeah, we just got back from Italy. Yeah. And then she's coughing inside the car. And then God. And I actually said to her, are you okay? Maybe we should, you know, we could like in your lesson. Or she goes, no, I just got a little tickle in my throat. I'm like,
yeah, the tickle. That's like saying, oh, my neck's sore from sitting in the guillotine for so long. Oh.
Yeah, exactly. And not just, you know, I have kids who are telling stories about how they just got back from China. You know, kids who were telling like all the hot spots, like, which is really, you know, it's uncomfortable, you know, to be sitting there with a kid, you know, because, you know, like my reaction obviously is going to be different, you know, sitting next to a kid than it would be another adult, because with a kid, I don't want to spook them and be like, oh my God, you disgusting parasite, why are you even like in my presence right now? Because you're probably thinking you don't even know it, you know. And the fallout of this is that one kid came up tested positive for corona at Loyola Academy in Wilmette, and then they opened the school back up after being closed for 3 days, and then one day later,
another kid.
They announced that they were going to close all the schools because another kid at New Trier, also another school that I work at, had also came up. Now we're talking about 6,000 kids in just the New Trier system and 3,000 kids at Loyola Academy. That's 9,000 kids, of which I probably come in contact with all of them. So, you know what I'm saying?
So you're taking the yardstick that was in every classroom and just kind of pushing these kids away politely.
That's the situation with me. Is unfortunately, I am and I'm really not trying to like toot my own horn or anything, but I'm kind of popular with the kids, and they spend a lot of time like in my presence asking me a million useless questions. And sometimes it's just just to have a conversation with me, and so and I noticed that, and I have been worried since I've been on this little holiday that we started. I've been thinking about whether or not, like, every little thing, every little cough, every sneeze, every sort of extra deep breath I take, I'm like, oh my God.
You're thinking about it.
Affected me.
Right. Okay. So, real quick, we have Heather Adams who posted a comment. I'm guessing Heather is also a teacher because she said she had a student cough in her face twice the other day and was really upset about it. And she said she had a good talk with the kids. Right. So you just, as a teacher, you're trying to be nice and not hurt their feelings, but it's like, hey, you cover your mouth.
Cover your mouth, you little savage.
Yeah. You wait here. I'm going to go shower.
So what was that old movie, Silkwood? Were you in there with the scrub? Oh, that's awful.
Literally had me running around feeling like the outbreak monkey because I'm just not sure what like even right now I'm not even 100% sure. And here's my biggest issue with everything that's going on right now is we were so late to the party when it comes to this corona thing that we don't know what our real numbers are right now. We don't have any real solid testing in the US right now. But in Korea, they've got drive-through corona testing. And in the US, the country that's supposed to be so stitched up, supposed to be so on top of everything, and normally this would be the situation had we not had this asshat in the White House. And this is a real problem. And I feel like no matter which one of the Democratic nominees that you preferred or whatever like that, any one of them would have made sure that we were on top of this pandemic thing. Even Klobuchar, and I don't even know anything about her really. I feel like she would even be on top of it. And this guy right here, it really smacks at his sort of vanity and the fact that he did not think that this was going to be a big problem. Oh, I'm not really concerned about it. And now we have something that is classified as a pandemic. This is the same as back in the 15th century when the Black Plague first started, right? Nobody knew where it was coming from. And I guarantee you, if they had had an opportunity to have the scientific wherewithal that we have today, they would have made sure that not as many people died, right? But we got a president who, when he's talking about make America great again, I really think he's talking about go back to like the 14th century.
Well, that's what the population's going to be.
Yeah, I know, right?
Right? Like, I mean, if he's not taking it seriously, why? And I don't know, again, if this is just something that was created, but didn't he ban anybody from the White House that has a cough?
Yes. Yeah,
right?
They actually talked about this in the press briefing the other day. The White House physician's office was there at the door taking the temperature of everyone who was coming through. And there was one gentleman, they didn't name him, whose temperature was a little elevated. So they took it a couple times and finally was like, no, you can't come in here.
You can't come in here.
Yeah.
Right.
Apparently, if you cough before you get a chance to cough again, a dozen SEALs jump out and shoot you dead on the spot and then disappear.
Just done.
I was in Whole Food, okay, and I had shoved about 6 pieces of ice winter something dentine into my mouth, and I was chewing it feverishly. I mean, I was really going at it with these 6 pieces of little chiclet type gum, and I was inside the store, and I was walking down the water aisle, and it was crowded because they had like 2 people who were actually putting new water on the shelf, and then there was me and about 4 other customers hovering around in this one aisle. So you can imagine it was pretty crowded. And here I am chewing on this winter ice something or other from Dentine, and I'm chewing really fast. I don't know why. I'm like nervous. I want to get out of the store. And some spittle went down the wrong pipe, and I started coughing, and the entire aisle just separated for me. I had a good like 3 minutes to actually pick whatever water I wanted because everybody was standing clear of me.
We talked about that on Saturday as you're walking down the grocery aisle.
That is one way to get your way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just the parting of the Red Sea. Everybody scatter.
You didn't pay for those items. No, I believe I did. All right, just move it along, sir. Just move it along.
Yeah, it's fine. Just go.
Yes. How much do I owe you for these groceries? Nothing. Get out.
Cough on the money.
So okay, let's be fair. Okay, so not only do we have inept mismanagement at the start of all of this, but now we've got governors, and these are Democrats, Republicans, whatever, who are mandating, like in Illinois, we've got JB Pritzker here who said that bars and restaurants are now closed. So you've now crossed over into, and they have the authority to do this, to shut down a business, right? So now we have people who, if you work at a restaurant or bar, you probably are not making minimum wage, server wages, that type of thing. You may not have paid leave. Sergio. So you may not have any of these tools or resources. But all right, Sergio is awake. Let's go ahead and hear what Sergio has to say about all of this nonsense.
All of this gazpacho I've made. Who's going to eat it? Who's going to eat my gazpacho?
Elbow, cough into your elbow.
I am not afraid of coronavirus because that's the United States. He's not afraid. He's not afraid. Tiny hand man, so much like myself. Okay.
This is insane.
I heard you say bars and restaurants.
So Sergio had to come out. So yeah. Crazy Sergio. So the debate last night. Did anybody watch the debate?
Oh my, there was a debate last night?
Oh yeah, Joe Biden.
That would be a no.
Yeah, that was a no.
Like when you guys say, I know you guys are being facetious when you say that would be a no, but are you saying that like that Biden got trampled?
It depends on who you ask, because there are people out there that either candidate can do no wrong. They have no objectivity. However, when you look at the fact checking this morning, Biden was on a roll with his Fantasyland stuff. I mean, just he was saying, you know, I wrote the bill for this, and I was emperor of this, and I was on a pirate. You name it.
Yes,
He was
yes.
saying
He actually claimed that at one point in his career he was a pirate.
Pirate, you say?
No, last night they had, apparently they went to Trump for a quote, and his only quote was, "Whoa, this guy's good."
It was really that bad, where he was like even denying bills that he helped write. And the best one, in my opinion, the best one was when he said the Iraq War, Desert Storm, and all of that was peaceful.
Oh, it's a peaceful one.
Well, sure it was back in the U.S.
Yeah,
because we were at our height of Britney Spears back then, so everything was peaceful.
That's exactly.
I mean, really, when people think of us, that's one of the go-tos, believe it or not. And I realized this when I was in the military also, is that people in other places associated us right away with like happy shit, like, you know, our music right away. That's what they go to. And like during a time after 9/11, and I remember actually, and I know it's gonna sound crazy, but I did actually hear this conversation on the news, and it had something to do with, it actually was Rudy Giuliani saying it, and he suggested that New York pay Britney Spears a certain amount of money to come and do a concert there, because that would get America back into feeling like America again. Britney Spears.
Wow.
The woman who went, you know, batshit.
Yeah.
In
Was
public.
that pre or post head shaving?
This was pre-head shaving. This was
okay.
Pre-head shaving. So this is apparently what they think of us, is just bread and circuses, and we'll go back to sleep. But to be fair, some of us do. That's what we want. We want to be comfortable and just not have to think about things. So yeah. So
that's part of the American ideology that you know, just let the government handle it. Everything will be all right. Like everything's gonna be just fine. And unfortunately, unfortunately for us, that may have been the case at some point in American history. However, Donald Trump.
Yes. Well, quite honestly, you know, since Reagan, you know, it's the dumbing down of society, making education, you know, unattainable for the majority of Americans. You know, it's been 4 to 5 decades of transition from that to this, right? But you don't want people to be able to think critically of their own situations. They just want, like George Carlin said, they just want people smart enough to press the buttons and go home, right?
The other day.
Yep. It's really sad. There's some major problems right now in the US, and they're expecting that the neoliberal market system will be able to deal with this outbreak. And the reason that why that is so wrong is because it's not profitable, right? Like the government doesn't care about people. That is evident everywhere in the US. If it did, Flint would have drinking water, right?
Yeah.
5 years later.
Yeah.
They're still dealing with that problem, right? So we're still caught in this neoclassical economic view of scarcity, where there isn't enough to go around for everyone. We can throw $1.5 trillion at the market so that corporations don't lose any value, but we'll balk at paying for free testing for the coronavirus for regular people.
Yeah,
like the U.S. has set itself up to to be devastated by this. And when you look at the entire picture, it's going to be scary. People are going to have to take matters into their own hands and get out of the line of fire, and and barricade themselves in their houses and hope that they can survive this, because they're not going to get help from the U.S. government. And that's the scariest thing.
Would you guys like to see my toilet paper supply?
Sure.
It's like prison currency now. Toilet paper is prison currency.
But listen, this is the okay. So I went to Jewel. I went to Whole Foods. I went to Mariano's. These are 3 of the top grocery stores here in the city. And I went to I didn't go to Trader Joe's, but I did go to I went to like Aldi, which is owned by Trader Joe's, which is owned by Aldi's. And one of the things I was looking for in Aldi's was pasta, because I thought, okay, worst comes to worst, you're super hungry. Let's just get a lot of pasta. Let's just have a lot of pasta. Let's get a lot of sauces, the cheeses, and the tomatoes, and so forth. You guys know. And so when I went into Aldi's, all the pasta was gone. There was like 4 cans of tomato sauce also left. So I went to Whole Foods. When I got to Whole Foods, I thought, you know what? I'll go here. I'll get pasta here. I know Whole Foods got it. Whole Foods had nothing. And their water selection was quite good. No. It was Jewel's that had the water selection was really good. Whole Foods did not have any water. Their water was gone, which perplexes me, because Whole Foods sells the same LaCroix cases of water for $6.99 as opposed to what they're really worth, which is somewhere around $1.30 probably, but we can usually get them for like $3. So I said, I'm not buying anything here. I left, and I went to Jewel's, which had a very good selection, but I don't know, just not any of the stuff I wanted. I remember something Kerri said to me about the lime flavored waters having something in it. So I was like, you know what? And that's basically what they had left. So I said, screw this. I'm not going to buy anything here. It was the last store that I went to, which was a neighborhood sort of store called the Vaughn Market. And they had, like, this place, it was like it wasn't even touched by this whole Corona phase, even though it was super crowded. But their shelving, they were packed. They had everything. It was like like where you have like this sort of dream that you're in some place and everything is just so plentiful. That's what the Vaughn Market was like. And I bought a lot of stuff there. So
I've heard that actually, Don Ford was talking about that, like Asian markets and local specialty markets, like a halal market or something like that. People are not shopping there. Oh, okay, let's be honest. White people are not shopping there. Clearing out the shelves.
Right.
So
again, the Corona Beer Company has seen a sharp decrease in their sales. Right? So that's the mentality we're dealing with right now. But yeah, there's the smaller places are the places to go. I think people are incorrectly assuming that the biggest stores have the most product. Right. But that's what most people think. So they go there and the places are empty. Right? So if you have a small local market, that's your best bet.
Yep. So let's switch gears just a little bit. And Chris, I'm going to put you on the spot.
Sure.
We have elections. So far as we know, we're still voting tomorrow in Illinois. You're in Chicago. So what I wanted to ask you about was I'm going to make you answer for the entire Black community in Chicago, which is completely unfair.
No pressure.
So one of the things that keeps coming up again is that Biden, and you and I talked about this before, that Biden automatically has the backing of the Black community. And as I am a solid Bernie supporter. So what I don't understand about this is, do you remember when Bernie ran last time and you had those two protesters in California jump on the stage, and the Black Lives Matter protesters? And what came out of that was the national leaders for Black Lives Matter rewrote his entire platform. And they put it, there's a chart that's going around now, but they align his policies to exactly what their manifesto and list was.
Right.
So what's going on with the whole Biden thing? I mean, because
so
where's Sharon at? Where's Sharon at with all of this?
Well, this is what I find again, and like you said, we have talked about this before. And what I think it is the matriarchy and the patriarchy in the Black community are, they don't go on like facts. They go on feelings. And I think a lot of those older Black people in the Black community are saying, I'm with Joe because Joe was with Obama and Obama was wonderful. He's our first Black president. And I really don't think that a whole lot of deep digging goes into that sort of ideology. I think it just kind of goes, they just kind of go right for the emotion of the thing. And you remember how the internet really at some point, and let's just be honest, after the Obama presidency was over, we saw a lot of like, you know, Joe and Obama being friendly and like big friendship, a lot of love and all this sort of stuff. And I think that translated heavily over into what a lot of older Black people look at. They see it and they think, because you know we do have my grandmother is on Facebook. I mean, and she is savvy. This lady is on Facebook, and you know she's like sending me information. So basically, what I'm saying is they spend time on platforms like this, and they see those videos, and it makes them feel a certain way, and they don't care about anybody else after that. You get the guy like Bernie who is really trying to do some stuff, not just for the Black community. He's trying to make shit right again. Like he's trying to, and of course it's not perfect, but nobody is. But we've got somebody who was actually saying this whole system is jacked the fuck up, and and we got to try and fix it. Bernie is not. I don't know if you notice this or not, but everybody becomes a socialist in a time like this. Everybody
is definitely true.
Yeah, everybody becomes a socialist in a time like this. But unfortunately, see, here's the thing. I don't want Bernie to not be on the ticket because I feel like somebody like him definitely needs to be there. But we got to do something to, one, the older Black community. We got to do something to get them to like pay attention to this guy over here, because this guy over here, even though he wasn't with Obama, Obama is actually backing him for his presidential run. Obama is backing Bernie Sanders, not Joe Biden. Very curious. That's a very curious thing.
So explain that, because Obama hasn't really come out for anybody. So where are you getting that?
For anybody, but there is actual audio in an actual film of Obama saying that he feels Bernie Sanders is the right choice for a presidential candidate. Now, I don't know if that is from Bernie's first bid or this bid. But it is a feeling that Obama had. And I think that is something that we should like look into. I mean, Obama actually had this feeling that he thought that Bernie Sanders at one point would be a very good presidential candidate, and Bernie, to his his side of all of his talking points, he has not changed any of those things. Bernie is pretty straightforward. Whether or not you like him, I feel like if he was able to get into office, his strategy is not going to change. Whereas Trump all these other guys, their strategy is whoever is pushing the most money at them.
Mm. Good point. And to be fair about it, like my dad is a recovering Republican, and he was backing Biden.
Is there 12 steps for that?
There is. There's the grief, there's the anger, so he originally was talking about Bloomberg. I'm like, are you nuts? And then he was like, well, no, I'm backing Biden. I'm like, but wait a second, you are retired on Medicare, getting Social Security, and you want to vote for a guy who has repeatedly said that we need to cut those benefits. And his reaction to that was kind of a shrug. I'm like, and it's maddening because I'm like, yeah, right. And so I'm like, but I finally had to tell my dad, I said, look, at some point you're going to want to come move in, and I'm charging your ass rent. I'm going to let you know that right now. No free ride. Get your bootstraps.
No, not millennials, but Generation X's do it. Listen, the Generation X movement, if you think about it, we're the only group that's like, at this point, we're thinking more like, because we're home, I'm home for the next 2 weeks. And honestly, I'm thinking more than anything, well, I could really use this little break. I mean, because we're in a very interesting spot, okay? We're young enough where potentially the coronavirus might not be as deadly to us because we haven't crossed into that geriatric stage yet. But we are vastly approaching. But we've got our what they call our boomers, and they are they're the people who are being the most affected by this right now. And I don't know if this is correct, but I'm gonna say it's a feeling that I have. A lot of boomers have supported Donald Trump. So in my opinion, if I'm just being funny, and I'm just being funny, guys, it's a bad thing after all. That's probably not cool for me to say. But I mean, Steve's like, I'm even though I've loaded up, my refrigerator is packed. My toilet paper
and lime water.
Bountiful. I am this morning enjoying a coffee where normally I would be having a protein shake right now because I'd be on my way into work. And I'm enjoying a coffee that is highly spiked with St. Patrick Irish cream.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, a Generation Xer is actually just a millennial with credit.
You got that right.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, and I can tell you right now, as a Generation Xer, I am enjoying such good credit right now. I have been able to, I'm enjoying the best credit of my life because when I was in my 20s, my credit was jacked because if I wanted it, I just got it. And then I didn't worry about what the fallout of the payment. So now I'm so concerned about my credit score and how everything is going to look. I mean, like right now, and James will tell you, Kerri, James will tell you, I'm constantly talking about my credit score. Everything has got to be on time.
That is you and Doug, my husband, the same one, because if his falls below a certain level, like we make a big purchase, he freaks the hell out. And I'm like, look, you are still above, 80-90% of the pot. He's like, I don't give a damn. He's so focused on the credit. Yeah.
Fuck those people.
See, that's the difference between our age group and kids, right? And if you go into debt, max out all your credit cards, it's not like you own a house or even a car, right? As soon as you start to get into a position where you need to start paying some of this stuff back, you don't declare bankruptcy, you just move. right? You just move to a different place, and then they got to find you again, and that gives you a couple of months.
What was that, Chris?
They gotta find me first.
That's right.
That's
Yeah.
exactly right.
But that was actually the idea. And if I'm just being honest, and I don't want to, honestly, I really want to agree with you here. And that is, when I was younger, if I moved, I thought that meant that I was safe from these guys. They're not gonna find me. How are they gonna find me? I just moved. And that was the ignorance that was the folly of my youth. That was that stupid that I really believe that sort of thing. And if I can impart anything to our younger people who may be out there watching, it's not true. Don't do it. It's not true. They will find you, and your credit will be effed. Okay, so
That's exactly right. But it does, to bring it back to current situations right now, like with the stock market. So for the last 3 years, we heard about how great the economy was doing. Look at the stock market. And the pushback I always gave to people was, well, you can't pay your rent off of your 401k, and you can't pay your major bills unless you're willing to take a tax hit or get a loan off of it. So now when we have the stock market dropping 2 and 4 and 7 points repeatedly day after day after day, it's not looking so great right now. So
it's not looking so great. But if I may say, guys, and I don't know if this will count as like a Martha Stewart moment, but I'm going to share with you guys. I am invested in HelloFresh right now, and I can tell you, even especially during this time, those home food delivery services are kicking ass. Okay, because my HelloFresh keeps jumping 1.8% almost every week, and I am, and believe me, I am very happy that this is happening. It was even before it preceded even the coronavirus thing. I noticed there was a spike in my HelloFresh, and also, and oddly enough, and you guys are gonna laugh at this, but also I'm invested in Airbnb, and Airbnb is enjoying a spike because the fucking millennials can't sit still. They want to buy tickets and go everywhere, and it's amazing. Like, I do understand that a lot of people are suffering through this time with their stocks and everything, but certain stocks, believe it or not, are actually climbing. Certain stocks are actually climbing. So against this, I'm actually hoping before it's all over. Now I know it's all going to level out soon, or it might even take a dip. It's definitely going to take a dip once all of this as this corona fever. That's really a good play on words. Corona fever. All right. After all of this stuff kind of like, calms down a little bit. But right now, and I'm not even going to get rid of my home food delivery services after this calms down, because I believe that before Corona was a thing, it was spiking, and now it's spiking even higher. So, I mean, I know a lot of people are suffering through this with their stocks. They're losing money. But I play small. I'm not trying to be out there making, $1 million off of one thing. I'm playing it close and very safe. And right now,
so this is not a paid advertisement whatsoever. This is okay.
Yeah.
All right. Just
I don't know about you guys, but I invested heavily in Perel.
Please do so. They have delicious food options.
Delicious food option. You all know you bring up a good point, because I get food delivered, not the box stuff, but like grocery service.
I use Instacart all the time here. Yeah, I use Instacart all the time. I love Instacart. I wish I had some investments in it, but currently I do not. But yeah, especially during this time when people don't want to go outside, and the food delivery people who deliver your food, they don't necessarily want to come in contact with you either, because believe me, just because you're ordering food does not mean you're not a filthy, disgusting coronavirus carrier.
Well, so for everybody out there, I know that Instacart had issues with paying their delivery people the full tip. They were messing around with that for a little bit. So I talked to the people that deliver for me because I rely on it heavily.
Right. I know. I've been to your house. We hang out, and every time we go there, we get a delivery. So.
Well, I can get Benny's liquor delivered. I can get food. I can, you name it. So, but for the drivers, make sure that you're tipping your people, especially right now. I mean,
it's not cool. I mean, like those people come to your house. They come to your house. They do all the dirty work you don't want to do, especially in this atmosphere of going out in public and worrying about somebody chewing too much winter fresh gum and coughing in your face. You want to be careful of that sort of thing. And those people, like they come to your house, they contact you when you are at home and they're out shopping for you to let you know, hey, guess what? This item is not in stock, but here are your other options. I mean, these guys really are, if you think about it, I feel like grocery service, those guys should be getting paid better than this because they're not making a lot of money.
Well, neither there's anybody else in the United States.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. It's our gig economy. So, all right, we are now a few minutes before the top of the hour. So just real quick, some updates coming up for today. Number one, we're going to have the video out today with the global chair of Dems Abroad. So that'll be going up. Good interview between Don and it's too early. What's her name? Julia Bryant. So that'll be going up today. And then I got the third and maybe final piece. It may be 4 pieces, but I was writing a series on environmental racism.
Oh.
So so the third in the series should be coming out today. I'll have an update on that, which this is going on, Chris, actually north of you, in Waukegan, on top of the coronavirus and everything else. So it's just an ugly situation, but the whole series focuses on how Mike Madigan and the Chicago Machine has suppressed what's going on up there. So that third piece should be out today. And then, of course, Don Ford's going to have some more on the possibility of more states moving their primary elections. Big thing to keep in mind, I think the key date is either June 6th or June 9th. If a state moves beyond that, like Louisiana moved their primary to June 20th. The penalty for them for moving it is they will lose half of their delegates, half their eligible delegates. So for a state like Illinois, 155 delegates, to lose half of them, that's a lot. So it diminishes the role of the state in national politics for the primary. It's just not a good situation. We understand why they're doing it like Georgia did it, but they are doing it well before that date. So again, as the primary elections happen, we have Ohio, Illinois, Arizona, and Florida tomorrow. So when the corporate media says, either Bernie or Joe won a state, do not listen to that. Nobody wins a state. It's not a football game. What you look for is the delegate count. So that's what you pay attention to. Not winner. It's not a winner take all system like the Republicans have in many of their states. So those are the big things coming up.
Let me ask you guys a question. Have you guys noticed where the fuck is Mitch McConnell? You see him?
He's at home.
That motherfucker got the COVID-19. I'm telling you. He does. He is, you know what? Because he is such a sack of turds, right? And this guy is always got his mouth open. He's always like, we know for a fact that old man is sickly. He's been sickly since he was a child. It was the fact of people wanting to give and help kids in his condition at the time that put that motherfucker right here to be able to fuck everything up for the rest of us, right? Because he is not being the same as the people were who wanted to see kids like him make it, right? He doesn't care about those kids. But what I'm noticing is, where is he? That guy.
Yeah.
I'd say that the coronavirus is afraid of getting infected by Mitch McConnell.
I would have to agree.
Well, before we end this, Andy, you got anything else to add? Or?
Yes. If people are delivering stuff to your house, an acceptable tip is not wash your hands a lot, right? If you're going to leave a tip, leave a monetary tip. Don't say, use Perel or something like that. People have to survive this. It's clear that there's going to be very little coming from the federal government in terms of support, right? It's just against their neoliberal framing of how the economy works. So it's going to be up to people to find a way to survive. And you're going to end up having to try to figure out how to help one another without getting within 6 feet of one another. That's going to be the biggest problem.
Right.
Oh my God, the internet is so wonderful now because we can actually maintain our relationships and our friendships without coming within thousands, hundreds of feet of each other, hundreds of thousands of feet of each other. We can say nice and quarantine in our homes. And this is what's funny is that it seems like that we've been preparing for this for a long time now.
Yes.
At least 2 years. We've been preparing for this.
I've been an introvert my entire life. I've been preparing for this moment.
You guys are silly. All right, with that, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in, and we will be back on Wednesday. So stay safe, stay healthy, and please try to be kind to each other. And if you're in Illinois, Florida, Ohio, or Arizona, go vote. Just take precautions, but please go vote.
This is Progressive Insider.
Yeah, Progressive Insider, you know they wiser. This that new media company covering everything. I'm talking that news you ain't heard of, cause you know it's getting buried. Social justice, yeah, the stuff you need to know about. Fucking politics that the corporate news won't cover. You know they don't think that you could see under, but you can now, cause the people we cover, they may not be famous, but their stories should be heard. Yeah, every voice matters, we should rise and fall together. And that's why here at Progressive Insider, we down for whatever. All of us and none of us, take back your power. Don't ask, just demand it.